You hear the church bells ringing in panic, not the slow, measured rhythm of prayer, but the frantic clanging that means only one thing. An army is coming. You are a woman in medieval Europe, and in this moment, your gender has become a death sentence. It does not matter if you are noble or peasant, young or old, married or virgin. When armies march through medieval lands, women become spoils of war. Your body becomes territory to be conquered. Your life becomes something men will gamble over, fight over, and ultimately destroy without a second thought. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Because it's not a story about brave knights protecting maidens. This is not a tale of chivalry and honor. Those concepts existed only in songs and poetry, fantasies created by the very men who committed the atrocities we're about to discuss. The reality of medieval warfare was that women were targeted systematically, deliberately, as weapons of war themselves. To humiliate the enemy, to destroy bloodlines, to break the spirit of defending populations. And the things that happened to you, regardless of your station, would be considered war crimes today. But in medieval Europe, they were simply the cost of being born female in a world ruled by violence. You are a noble woman, daughter of a count, wife of a lord. You have spent your entire life behind castle walls, educated in reading, embroidery, music, and the management of a great household. You have never worked a field, never gone hungry, never slept on a dirt floor. Your hands are soft, your gowns are silk and velvet. You thought your status would protect you. You were wrong. The siege has lasted 3 months. Your husband died in the first week, his head taken by a trebuchet stone while he stood on the battlements. Your sons are dead too, one killed in a sortie, the other taken by dysentery in the overcrowded castle. You are the last of your bloodline, and the enemy commander knows it. When the walls finally breach, when the soldiers pour through like water through a broken dam, you know exactly what is coming for you. You try to hide in the chapel. You pray to the Virgin Mary, to every saint whose name you know, that someone will show mercy. The soldiers find you anyway. They drag you out by your hair, your fine silk gown tearing, your jewelry ripped from your neck and fingers. You try to invoke your rank, to offer ransom, to remind them that you are nobility and there are rules even in war. They laugh. One of them backhands you so hard you taste blood. Your rank means nothing now. You are just another woman, and they have been promised 3 days of pillage. What happens next is something chronicles rarely describe in detail, but you live every second of it. Multiple soldiers, one after another, while others watch and wait their turn. You stop screaming after the first hour because your voice is gone. You stop fighting because broken ribs make it impossible to breathe when you struggle. You retreat somewhere inside your mind, somewhere they cannot reach, and you watch yourself being destroyed from a distance. This is how you survive it, by not being present in your own body. When they are finished with you, they debate what to do next. Some want to ransom you because even violated, you are still valuable. Others argue you are worthless now, damaged goods no family would pay for. They compromise. They keep you alive but send pieces of you to your relatives. A finger first, with a ransom demand. When the payment does not come quickly enough, an ear. You learn that pain has levels you never imagined. You learn that the human body can endure horrors and continue functioning. You learn that death would be a mercy, but mercy is not something these men understand. If you are fortunate, truly fortunate, someone eventually pays for what is left of you. You return to your family disfigured, traumatized, and pregnant with the child of one of your rapists. The church tells you that you must bear this child because abortion is a mortal sin. Your family is ashamed of you, as if what happened was somehow your fault. You are quickly married off to a minor noble who needs your dowry and does not care about your damaged state. You spend the rest of your life reliving those days in the chapel, waking up screaming, flinching when any man approaches. You are alive, but everything that made you who you were died in that castle. You are a peasant woman, 23 years old, mother of 2 young children. You have spent your entire life working from dawn until dusk, your hands calloused and scarred, your back permanently bent from years of field labor. You have survived hunger, disease, brutal winters, and the casual cruelties of serfdom. You thought you knew what suffering was. You were wrong. The army appears at the edge of your village without warning. You see the smoke from burning farmhouses before you see the soldiers themselves. Your husband grabs the children and tells you to run to the forest. You do not make it. A mounted soldier sees you, and his horse is faster than your exhausted legs. He rides you down like an animal, his lance knocking you to the ground. You look up and see him dismount, see the expression on his face, and you know that begging will accomplish nothing. He takes you in the dirt beside the road while your village burns in the background. You hear screaming. You hear your neighbors being murdered. You hear your daughter crying somewhere in the distance, and you pray she is crying because she is frightened, and not because the same thing is happening to her. She is only 7 years old. Surely even these monsters would not harm a child. You will learn shortly that your hope was misplaced. There is no age too young for the appetites of soldiers drunk on violence and power. When the first soldier finishes, he does not kill you. He calls others over. You become entertainment, a recreational activity for men who have been marching for weeks and are owed their rewards. You count 6 different men before you lose consciousness. When you wake, you are in a wagon with dozens of other women from your village and the surrounding area. You are not dead, but you are not being released either. You have been collected like livestock to follow the army. This is your life now. You are camp baggage, one of hundreds of women forced to march with the army, cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, and providing sexual services to soldiers whenever they demand. You are not paid. You are not fed adequately. You sleep on the ground in all weather. When the army fights a battle, you are forced to walk the field afterward, stripping corpses of anything valuable. You find men you knew from your village among the dead. You take their boots and weapons because if you do not, you will be beaten. You watch women die around you constantly. Some from disease, some from violence, some from sheer despair. One woman from your village hangs herself from a tree using her own dress. You envy her courage because you cannot do the same. You have children somewhere, possibly still alive, and the faint hope of finding them again is the only thing that keeps you breathing. Months pass, then years. You forget what your husband's face looked like. You forget your own name sometimes, referring to yourself only as what the soldiers call you, which are words too degrading to repeat. You are a maidservant in a merchant's house in a prosperous town. You are not nobility, but you are not peasantry either. Your master treats you reasonably well. You have a small room to yourself, adequate food, and you even learn to read a little by watching the merchant's children during their lessons. You thought you had found a safe position in an unsafe world. Then the army comes, and you learn that safety is an illusion for women. The city council negotiates a surrender. They agree to pay tribute, to provide supplies, to house soldiers in exchange for the army not sacking the town. The agreement is written, sealed, and presented. The army accepts. Then they ignore it completely. You watch from an upper window as soldiers smash down doors, dragging people into the streets. The merchant you serve tries to protect his house. They kill him on his own doorstep and throw his body into the gutter like refuse. You hide in the cellar with the merchant's wife and daughters. You stay silent in the darkness, listening to boots stomping overhead, furniture being overturned, glass shattering. You hear women screaming in neighboring houses. You hear children crying. You pray that the soldiers will take what they want and leave. They do not leave. They are methodical, searching every room, every closet, every possible hiding place. When they pry open the cellar door, the light that floods down the stairs is the last moment of hope you will know for a very long time. The merchant's wife is older, in her 40s. They rape her anyway. The daughters are 14 and 16. You watch them being violated and know your turn is coming. You are last because you are a servant, lowest in the hierarchy even of victims. When it is over, they take you with them. Not the merchant's wife or daughters. They are allowed to stay because even in chaos, nobility receives some consideration. But you are disposable. You are property that can be taken without consequence. You become what is called a soldier's woman. You are assigned to a group of men who use you as they please, and in exchange provide minimal protection from other soldiers. This is not mercy. This is ownership. You cook for them, mend their clothes, warm their beds, and absorb their violence when battles go badly. They do not use your name. They call you the woman as if you are an object, interchangeable with any other female body. When one of your assigned soldiers dies in combat, you are simply reassigned to another group. You have no say in this. You are currency, traded and exchanged based on gambling debts and favors owed. You develop a strategy for survival. You make yourself useful beyond your body. You learn to treat wounds, to cook better than the other camp women, to be cheerful and compliant. You become the woman soldiers request specifically because you do not cry, do not resist, do not make them feel like rapists, even though that is exactly what they are. This is your tactic, your weapon. You have learned that some cages have slightly better conditions than others, and you maneuver yourself into the better cage by becoming what they want. It is degrading, it is soul-destroying. But you are still alive when women who resisted are dead, so you tell yourself this counts as victory. You were captured in a raid 3 years ago. You do not remember your original name anymore. You were given a new name by the slave traders who purchased you from the soldiers who took you. You have been sold 4 times since then, each sale taking you farther from anything familiar. You are now in a military camp, owned by a mercenary captain who uses you as a servant and trades access to your body to reward his best fighters. You are not alone. There are dozens of enslaved women in this camp, taken from villages and towns across 3 different kingdoms. Some were peasants, some were townsfolk. One was allegedly a minor noblewoman, though years of slavery have erased any visible difference between you. You are all just bodies now, resources to be exploited until you break. The physical abuse is constant and expected, but worse than the rapes, worse than the beatings, is the slow erasure of your humanity. You are not spoken to, you are commanded. You are not fed, you are provisioned like a horse. When you become pregnant, there is a brief debate about whether the child might be valuable. When you miscarry from malnutrition and overwork, no one comments. Loss of property is noted in a ledger somewhere. Nothing more. You watch other enslaved women employ different survival tactics. Some seduce powerful men, hoping to become favorites with better treatment. One woman successfully becomes a captain's concubine, moves into his tent, receives better food and clothing. She looks at the rest of you with contempt now, as if she has transcended your shared horror through cunning. Then the captain dies in battle, and she is immediately dragged back into the general population of camp women. Her brief elevation means nothing. She is property again, now resented by other women, and specially targeted by soldiers who enjoy humiliating the fallen. Others try different approaches. One woman, older and shrewd, claims to have healing knowledge. She treats minor wounds and illnesses, making herself valuable beyond her body, which is aging and less desirable. This works until she fails to save an important soldier from infection. She is blamed for his death and executed as a witch. Another woman tries to escape. She makes it 2 miles before being caught. They bring her back and flog her in front of everyone as a warning. She dies 3 days later from infected wounds. You learn from her mistake. Escape is not possible. There is nowhere to run where you would not be recaptured or killed. So you employ the only tactic left to you, absolute submission. You anticipate needs before they are spoken. You work harder than required. You make yourself invisible when violence erupts, blending into walls and shadows. You do not form friendships with other enslaved women because caring for anyone is a vulnerability that will be exploited. You become a ghost haunting your own body, present enough to function but absent enough to survive. It is a kind of living death, but it is still living. Some days you are not sure why that matters anymore, but the animal drive to survive persists even when hope is long gone. You understand something other women do not. In a world where men have all the power, your body is still a weapon if you know how to use it. You were a prostitute before the army came, which means you have always survived by understanding male desire and exploiting it. When the soldiers arrive, while other women are being brutalized, you are already calculating angles. You approach the highest-ranking officer you can access. You do not wait to be taken, you offer yourself. But you offer more than just sex. You provide information about the town's defenses, about where wealthy families are hiding, about which houses have valuables worth looting. You betray your neighbors without hesitation because they never treated you as one of them anyway. You were always the whore, the sinner, the woman they pretended not to see. Now you watch them suffer, and you feel nothing. Your information is valuable. The officer keeps you close. You become his mistress, his advisor, his spy. When the army moves to the next town, you go with him, willingly. You gather information from other camp women, from captured locals, from anyone foolish enough to talk around you. You trade this information for protection, for better food, for a tent instead of sleeping on the ground. Other women hate you. They call you traitor, collaborator, worse. You do not care. They are starving and being passed around like shared wine. You are sleeping in a bed. You learn other tactics. You become skilled at creating jealousy between soldiers, setting them against each other, ensuring that your protector values you as more than just another body. You learn which men have power and which only think they do. You learn to read moods, to know when to be seductive and when to be invisible, when to offer advice and when to stay silent. You learn that information is more valuable than beauty, that secrets are currency, and that in a world of violence, intelligence is your only real defense. But you also learn that your position is precarious. You are tolerated, not respected. You are useful, not valued. When your officer is killed in an ambush, you have approximately 5 minutes to attach yourself to another powerful man before you are dragged back into the general population of camp women. You manage it because you are smart and ruthless, seducing his second-in-command before the body is cold. Other women could not do what you do. They have morals, consciences, lines they will not cross. You have none of these luxuries. You have only survival, and you are very good at it. Years pass. You move from army to army, protector to protector, always landing on your feet through manipulation and intelligence. You have betrayed dozens of people. You have caused deaths through your information. You have watched women you knew be tortured and killed and done nothing because intervening would risk your position. You tell yourself you are a survivor, that you are clever, that you are doing what is necessary. But late at night, when your current protector is asleep beside you, you sometimes wonder if you are still human or if you have become something else entirely. Something that wears a woman's face but has the soul of a predator. You do not dwell on these thoughts long. Introspection is dangerous. Guilt is a luxury. You are alive when almost everyone else from your original town is dead. That has to be enough. This was your fate as a woman when armies marched through medieval Europe. Your station did not protect you. Your virtue did not save you. Your intelligence, your beauty, your status, none of it mattered when violence came. You were targeted because you were female, used because you were available, discarded when you were no longer useful. Some of you died quickly. Some of you died slowly. Some of you survived but carried scars, visible and invisible, that never healed. The tactics you employed to survive were not noble. They were desperate, degrading, and often required you to abandon every principle you once held. Some of you submitted, some of you manipulated, some of you simply endured until your body or mind finally broke. None of these choices were good. They were simply the only options available to you in a world designed to destroy you. History does not talk about you much. Chronicles mention the great battles, the strategic victories, the noble prisoners exchanged for ransom. They rarely mention the women in the wagons, the enslaved following the camps, the bodies left behind when armies moved on. You were considered collateral damage, unfortunate but inevitable consequences of war. But you were not collateral. You were human beings with lives, families, dreams, and futures that were stolen from you through systematic violence. What happened to you was not accidental. It was policy. It was strategy. It was one of the oldest weapons of war, the breaking of women to break the spirit of their communities. And you lived through it. Some of you died from it. Some of you were destroyed by it, but kept breathing anyway. And some of you became something harder, colder, more ruthless than the men who tried to break you. None of these outcomes were victories. They were all just different ways of measuring loss. Remember that. Remember what you endured. Remember that behind every medieval battle, every siege, every march of armies across Europe, there were women like you paying prices that history never bothered to record. Your suffering was real, your pain mattered, and your story, as horrific as it is, deserves to be told.